Equinox does not care about the steel path, and this is why. Alright, so I'm sure that after that montage, you must be like, wow, what is this absolutely crazy build you have in this Equinox, and how do I do it? That is exactly what this guide is here for today. So, Equinox is my main frame. As you can see, I have 5 Archon shards slotted in. These aren't what I'm going to probably stick with, other than maybe the Ambers, and this is purely for the Cedo. That's not the point of this video. Let's just go over Equinox Prime, or Equinox in general, real quick. First, passive, kind of bad, not gonna lie. 10% of health orbs converted into energy, energy converted into health. It helps. It's not that much, but it does help for some like dispensary builds or something like that. Now, first ability normally allows you to switch forms, because yes, Equinox is 2 frames within 1. 8 abilities, or 6 if you don't want to count Metamorphosis. But the crazy thing is, Gloom does everything Night Form does, except better. So that's why we have subsumed it onto a first ability. Why decide to be able to switch forms if we don't need to? That's a whole nother video talking about Equinox and why they need to change them. Or her. I think it's confirmed that they are her. Or whatever. So, with Gloom, we get Lifesteal and we get a slow. That 84% slow, looking pretty nice. Rest and Rage. Now, this ability in day form is great, but it has one caveat. Damage vulnerability, 120%, so it's like a 2 times multiplier on our damage. But it increases enemies' speed up to 48%. Gloom slows them down. Pacify and Provoke. Provoke here gives us extra ability strength. You know what we need ability strength for? More slow on Gloom. Maim. Cast a big wave that as you deal damage in, it builds up a counter in your buff status, and then when you decast the ability, it absolutely nukes enemies depending on how much damage you've built up. So that's a quick little rundown of Equinox. Now let us check out our build. Boom. Here you go. Now, as you can see, ridiculously high strength build. And we're running Combat Discipline with Arcane Avenger, just because I like that extra critical chance, and it works great on something like the Cedo, which is a status crit monster. Just puts that crit chance above 100%. High crit multiplier, and you guys hopefully know what that gun is. If not, cop yourself. Absolutely slaps. Now, real quick, looking at it here. So, Rolling Guard. This is kind of a ability on practically every frame. Alright. You throw this in, you become invulnerable. Mine's not maxed out, but it's pretty close. Next, we have Fleeting Expertise. So, with this being a very, very high strength build, and then a range build, just for a little bit more nuking purposes, we also want some efficiency. Now, we do use Blind Rage here. Blind Rage helps us hit that strength of 240. As you can see, it puts our Gloom slow to 84%, and then, if we bump it with Pacify, or Provoke, excuse me, we get that 95% slow on Gloom, which is great. So, moving back, very high strength, Blind Rage. Blind Rage takes efficiency, 50% efficiency. Now with that, with a Fleeting Expertise, we get a lot more efficiency back, but that nukes our duration. So Prime Continuity gets that back. And just because this frame is a ridiculously high energy consumption, we throw in Streamline and Fleeting Expertise just to get that 140, and then 98 is practically 100, so our drains go down a decent enough amount to make it manageable, because you will be draining a lot of energy with this build, which is why, if you haven't, I sadly don't, I recommend you throw in Arcane Energize on this build, as it absolutely helps sustain this frame so much better. But I don't use it because I don't have it, and I make it work, which means that you can too. Now, this build has some variations. So, if we take a look at that slow, 85% on Gloom, Pacify and Provoke gives us that extra 50. If we just look at some strength mods here, if we were to take out Streamline, bring us down to 110 efficiency, throw in Augur Secrets, goes up to 92%. That's not max. So, if you really, really want to, you could throw in Umbral Intensify if you have the strength. I'll remove Stretch real quick if you have the mod capacity for that 36, 95% slow on Gloom, absolute max. Now, this means that Provoke for the extra ability strength is not necessary. You don't need it. Sure, it helps increase damage vulnerability, but this is already an ability that you don't really use that much, especially in lower end stuff. And the slash proc off this is not that great. But what this means is that you can subsume Gloom onto Provoke, Pacify and Provoke, which allows you to keep your ability to switch forms. With that, I don't really think that you need to, because, again, Gloom does everything that Night Form does, except better. Switching to Night Form gives you extra armor and replenishes your shields. You don't need extra armor and extra shields if you're not being shot. You don't need to put targets to sleep if you're not being shot, because they are 95% slowed. You don't need to reduce their damage if you're not being shot. And you don't need to refill your shields with a kill if you're not being shot. That's why I don't think so. But it does allow you the possibility to open it up for that if you want to still keep the Metamorphosis ability. I know that it's fun switching between the forms. I like it. I wish that Equinox was built so that you could do that more often, because it's fun having 2 frames within one. But Gloom does all of that better. So, sticking with this Stretch and Streamline to keep that. Now, if you want to drop Blind Rage just because you don't like that big nuke to your efficiency, if you want a full caster, you can drop Blind Rage and you can throw an Umbral Intensify or whatever. This will be slightly lower at about 210, which means that you won't get a 95% slow, but let's be honest, guys, it is really not that big of a deal. 85% compared to 95 is kind of noticeable. But if we're talking in the terms of maximization, we want that. Now, as I said before, Equinox is my main, which means that I have her kitted out with Archon Shards. See, the first one I have here is a Tau Forged Azure for energy max. Very energy hungry frame, it's nice to have a higher energy cap. Second one, plus 150 armor. This helps. Equinox is low armor, but honestly, with how efficient this build is at having you not be shot at all, you don't really need this. So this will probably be what I drop if I were to get another Amber or a Crimson. 2 Amber Archon Shards, non-Tau Forged, my Shadow Stinger would be so happy, at 25% casting speed. This makes a humongous difference. MAME has a ridiculously long casting time, and I would show you if it didn't require me to spend so many Helminth resources, because of course it takes bile to remove these. Now, these really help. It's the equivalent of having natural talent, but you don't need to use a mod slot, which means that every single mod that you see on here, except for Rolling Guard, is a stat mod, because you don't need any like quality of life. And I also forgot to mention Constitution for that 28 ability duration instead of Augur Message, I think it is. Yes, Augur Message, just because really low duration helps tank the energy. But again, this is a mod that you can drop. You can drop this, put an Umbral Intensify, have ridiculously high strength, not need Pacify Provoke. You can throw an Augur Reach here instead if you want more range. Really doesn't matter. I just like to keep it at this value because it's nice for the energy drain. Again, Archon Shards. Then I have a primary status chance. This is purely for the Cedo. I've been using this gun a lot lately, and with its glaive functionality, that 162% status is absolutely crazy. I'll probably drop this for another plus 25, but that is purely because of the gun. You can throw whatever you want here. If you want to throw more ability strength, that can also work. 50 ability strength right here would be absolutely ridiculous, because then you could drop transient fortitude. Like, think of that. Completely drop this mod. Kind of crazy. Now, let's see how it performs. Obviously on Zeneric for that energy gain. Putting this build into practice is really, really easy. So let's just spawn some corrupted heavy gunners. Only unit that I have for testing. Now, the sequence of events goes, if you want, you can just pop this real quick, your Wellspring, get some energy at the start of a mission. Now, pop your 3, boom, 48% extra ability strength. Pop your 1 or your 2, and then now, pop your 4. Boom. Look at the slow that these Grineer are affected by when they get inside my radius. Absolutely ridiculous. A 95% slow. What are they supposed to do? Because while I'm doing this, I can... And that was without any stacks built up. And then I just built up a bunch of damage. Take off health. Absolutely crazy. What that animation looks like without any slow. Super quick. Let's pop this. Pop bloom. This. Boom. I mean, can you tell they're even moving? Throw this. Make them more weak. Literally almost all their health. That is with no galvanized stacks. No primary merciless. Absolutely nothing. Almost all of their health. Absolutely crazy. I know that we have Arcane Avenger helping us there, but it is ridiculous. Now, we can take a peek at some really fun combinations with Equinox in this slow. Right here, Kuva Chakor. Absolutely love the Kuva Chakor. I am trying to get one that I got a heat generator on this because I thought it'd be better, but I'm trying to grab one with Toxin so that I don't need to use 2 mods for Viral. But regardless, I have very, very high crit chance, decent status on this Chakra. Galvanized Scope, Primary Deadhead, Crit Delay, Vital Sense, Vital Acceleration for that fire rate. Chakra, you need to hit headshots with if you're using the build that I have on it right now. You know what makes it really easy to hit headshots? When enemies can't move. Ability Strength, Bloom, Maim. Start to build up. Flash proc will 1-tap. But let's build it even farther. See if we can 1-tap with just our Chakra. Absolutely ridiculous. If I prime them for some damage, I mean, look at that slash. 1-tap. 1-tap. Practically a 1-tap. 1-tap. 886,000 impact damage. I mean, you know, and some people, and you're valid if you say this, might say, oh, well, you know, they're standing still. That's not a viable build. You can't actually, that's not what it would be like when you have tons of enemies running around. One, when tons of enemies are running around, they're not all corrupted heavy gunners. So many of them are fodder that will die so quickly. So, if we want to unpause the AI, I'm not turning invincibility on. Let's sim this. Ability Strength. Bloom. And then, boom. The build still works. They still cannot do anything. Prime. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, what is any of them supposed to do? I don't know what knocked me down there. 1 million. I mean, what is any enemy supposed to do? You tell me. How do you counter this? This is a little post me recording. I just wanted to mention that I do, in fact, have a Darzakavat that was proccing Cat's Eye. Not the entire time, but that 60% increased critical chance does help a lot. So just remember that your builds will vary slightly. I know some of you might not want to run Arcane Avenger with Combat Discipline, even though with Gloom you got lifesteal on your attack, so you kill something you're back at full health. Just letting you know that your mileage will vary, although the build itself, not talking about damage, the build itself that I showed you here will work. And even if you wanted to drop certain things on this build, as long as you have over an 80% slow on Gloom, the Equinox with Gloom day form absolutely destroys. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. This is the Equinox build that I have been using as of lately. Probably plan on putting out some more guides. I really like making Warframe content. And I even have other Equinox build ideas. Subsuming off Gloom for something like Pillage off of Hildren would be dope, because Equinox does struggle with armor. You know, before I change this to a, whatever the hell that symbol is, Vazarin, it was a Naramon, which was great because you could put Corrosive Projection on. But honestly, the ridiculous amount of damage that this build puts out and inability for them to fight you makes it so you don't really need much armor strip if you're going up to just like level 200, 300, which barely anyone goes above that, let's be honest. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.